Welcome to Wasatch Weekends for this Friday, September 29th edition. I'm your host, Ben Roof. On today's show, we've got Katy Wang of Park City Films stopping by to tell us about all their fantastic programming coming up. And then we've got Dr. Regina Spratling of the National Association of Pediatric Nurse Practitioners joining us to talk a little bit about COVID vaccinations and getting our kids properly vaccinated for the upcoming school year. But first, a quick local announcement. In local sports news, the Park City Miners are on a wonderful winning streak, 7-0 on the season, and they're playing tonight at Dozer Field against Jordan, and that's going to be at 7 p.m. And the Wasatch Wasps are also playing tonight, and they're going to be away in Timpview, and that's going to be at 7 p.m., and hopefully they can have a great game and turn that season a little bit around, because right now they're sitting at 2-5 on the season. But great luck to both of our teams, and we will be right back after a little bit of weather.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Hi, I'm Nicole Gayton. I am an artist out of Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and I am a very colorful wildlife artist. Here I am today, about 20 years later, doing this full time. As a kid, I've always been really a big animal lover. That's part of the reason I paint wildlife. Growing up in Jackson Hole, my parents made it a huge part of our lives, getting out into the wilderness, hiking, having animals. We had 2 dogs growing up, a cat. I was obsessed with horses, and somehow I convinced my parents to buy me a horse and then a second horse. And we didn't have the space for horses, but that was one of my first animals that I drew incessantly. And then art and horses were my life, and it's one of my favorite things to draw. My love of animals just grew, and I am a big contributor to a lot of wildlife funds in Grand Teton National Park, giving them a lot of the funds that come from my paintings. So I get asked over and over again how I came up with this technique, and many people don't know that I use a squirt bottle similar to like a diner style ketchup bottle. I mix up black paint and water, and then I lay my canvas on the ground and I go wild. You can see that it sprays out, all these little black marks come out, and I came up with that after being young. I was detail oriented. I would sketch out my drawing, and I would never finish a project in my high school art classes until one day my teacher was like, you need to just like let loose, let it go. And we came up with this idea when we were working on painting projects to use a squirt bottle, and that would help me complete my projects. So we tried it out, and it was just like a magical experience how I could get a drawing done within like, I don't know, 10 minutes. And that's how things kind of evolved into this really wild style for me. Ever since, you know, it's evolved and become this whole magical process. I think in the area that we live in, wildlife seems to be a very popular subject matter. I also really enjoy painting their personalities and their eyes, and it's been a really fun avenue to go down. I have decided to kind of experiment with some new color, some new subject matter. I typically only do one animal per piece, and I've really kind of like challenged myself to put in more animals into one piece. So you'll see when we pan out here that I've done, 3 foxes in one piece, I've done 2 bison in a piece, and then I have a really spectacular piece that is 6 feet long with I don't even know how many bears, but there are probably 15 bears in there. I would love you all to see that. So I ended up in Park City meeting Colby, the owner of Pando Fine Art, by contacting him probably 5 to 10 times over and over again, begging him to take my work. I know that hundreds of artists get in touch with him. And I think it was either, I can't remember the 5th or the 10th time that he finally responded, like it was the first time, "Oh, I've been watching your art and I really want you here." And he took a chance on me. I think I was in one gallery at the time in Jackson. And I came here on a Memorial Day weekend, and I think 5 of the 6 pieces I brought down sold in the 3 days I was here. And so it was like a match made in heaven, and I have been here ever since. And I believe that was 5 years ago now. So it's like our 5th year anniversary, and it's been really great ever since. Just being here in this gallery, the people that work here are so wonderful and incredible that, I mean, coming down, just making the trip is worth it. Come on down to Pando Fine Art to see my new work. It is right across from No Name Saloon and right next to the post office.
Welcome back to Wasatch Weekends. We've once again got Katy Wang from Park City Film joining us. Welcome to the show, Katy.
Thanks for having me. Always great to be here.
It's always great to have you. So tell us a little bit about what you guys have going on this week.
So we've got one of my favorite films from the Sundance Film Festival 23 that came in. It won a special jury prize, so I was not the only fan. But it is a New York Times, it's a mockumentary that is just bitterly funny. It's kind of a spoof on a theater camp in the Adirondacks in upstate New York called Adirondacks, ADCT, right? And so it's kind of all the hilarity and just ridiculousness of those types of camps, but it's created by Molly Gordon and Ben Platt, who are Tony Award-winning actors themselves. So these are camps that they grew up in. There's just that, they know this intimately, like what these camps are like and how seriously they take, these performances in a camp setting. And so the premise is basically that they're in this rundown theater camp for kids, summer camp for kids, and it's in danger of being sold because the owner has fallen ill. And so the kids have to band together, these aspiring thespians, and put on one final performance to save the day. But it's just so funny, so well done, just a very clever, very insightful look at this kind of slice of life.
And what was the title of that one again? I think I missed it when you first mentioned it.
Oh, it's called Theater Camp.
Theater Camp. Awesome. So Theater Camp you got coming up, and then where is that going to be playing?
So we're showing it Friday and Saturday at 7, and then again Sunday at 6. I want to thank 30 Minute Tire. They're a new business here in town that, as the name suggests, can get your snow tires on in 30 minutes, which we appreciate. But they're the underwriter, and we greatly appreciate the support we receive from our local small businesses to help us bring these great films to the screen. You can get your tickets for this weekend at parkcityfilm.org, or of course, the box office opens an hour before the showtime, and feel free to just cruise on up if you have a change in plans or spontaneously decide you want to come bring your friends for this hilarious, very well done movie. We'd love to have you. We've got a huge theater, so take advantage of that and come on over.
Awesome. And so you guys will be showing that one at the Jim Santee Auditorium, but I'm sure you've got some other things going on around town too, not just at your beautiful facility there.
Yes, so we've got a couple more weekends outside. We are bringing back the Twilight Drive-In, and we've had lots of questions all summer of when's the Twilight Drive-In coming back? So it is back. We'll be back on October 7th and October 14th. And this year we're going to Deer Valley Resort. So if you're familiar with the resort, we'll be in the Snow Park parking lot 4, so the lower half of Deer Valley Resort. And on October 7th, we're kicking everything off with Matchstick Productions' new ski film, The Land of Giants. So getting us all ready for winter. It's cooling down. The leaves are changing. Perfect time to bring in our ski films. We've got a limited number of spots as usual. So if you do want to come see this show, tickets are between $40 and $50, depending on how many people are in your car. Please go to parkcityfilm.org and get your tickets online in advance. And then then just a note that if you're looking to maybe score a free ticket, we do have our dinner to movie program going on right now. So if you visit one of our participating restaurants, and every film page has a link to all of the participating restaurants, and spend $50 or more on your meal, you will get a free ticket coupon that is good for either 2 film tickets at the Santee Auditorium, so 2 tickets to theater camp this weekend, or 1 car ticket to the Twilight Drive-In. So there's a nice incentive there to get on out, spread the love, help our economy keep circulating here in the off season, and then come on back and be rewarded with a great movie at Park City Film, either at Deer Valley Resort in Snow Park or at the Jim Santee Auditorium on Park Ave.
Fantastic. And with that Twilight Drive-In, like I'm so excited for that. Like having that opportunity to like kind of get back with a little bit of that nostalgia, but also kick off the ski season with a movie premiere in a beautiful setting like that. And you guys are still using that big LED screen, right? So it's not a huge issue if it starts to get dark or if it starts to get a little bit bright out. You guys are still going to be able to see everything.
Yep. So we can start before dark, which is great with the LED screen. The show actually starts at 8 o'clock. We'll have, of course, pre-show activities going on. And then what's really nice about the Twilight Drive-In, so if you remember drive-ins of old, they had little squawk boxes that you had to stick on the window of your car, and it was never very good. Well, now we use an FM transmitter, so it just comes right through your personal car stereo. So everyone has some pretty nice sound systems these days, so you can crank up the sound as loud as you like. Bring a picnic. We'll be placing cars every other spot, just as we did at the Utah Olympic Park. So even though we don't have COVID restrictions anymore, people loved having the extra space to just spread out. We had, charcuterie platters. I mean, just, so many elaborate meals that people had put together. They bring a little pop-up table and, just make a fun time of it. So come a little early, doors open at 6:30, set up, put out your sushi platter, your meat and cheese, whatever appeals to you, hang out on a beautiful night, and then enjoy a great ski film and get ready for winter.
Well, and that little bit of extra space is wonderful because eating in your car, not always the best, but having that opportunity to really set out a picnic and really kind of enjoy that experience a little bit more is just a wonderful opportunity. So you guys have anything else coming up in the near future other than the Twilight Drive-Ins and theater camp?
Well, we've got a couple free screenings coming up a little bit farther out. On October 12th, we have a free screening of a documentary called Who She Is. It's about the missing and murdered Indigenous women epidemic. And it's a beautifully told short film with some unbelievable animation that just tells the story of 4 different women that were, have been impacted by this epidemic and their family members. And so after the film, we'll be joined by one of the family members as well as the directors of the film to have a conversation about what we've just seen, kind of what's going on now, what actions are being taken here in our own state of Utah. And then we'll break out into smaller group discussions to really kind of get into the meat of it and give folks the opportunity to have one-on-one conversations with the panelists. So it's part of our Raising Voices film series that's been quite popular. And it's really a way for us to showcase communities and cultures that have been underrepresented in the arts historically. And just give people that space and time to have a more in-depth conversation about what they've seen on the screen.
Well, and that Raising Voices program just really goes to indicate just how great the Park City Film program is, and it brings so much unique programming to the community, things that we wouldn't necessarily have with just your traditional movie theater bringing in nothing but blockbusters. Like having that opportunity to chat with and answer some questions, get some questions answered from the people who put the movie together is just an amazing and unique opportunity that we can't thank you enough for. So
thank you.
Before we let you go, is there anything else you want to mention?
Nope, just go to parkcityfilm.org. We've got some great movies coming up. Want to thank 30 Minute Tire for their underwriting. And then next week for the drive-in, Icon Pass is our presenting sponsor, and Julie Hopkins, Keller Williams Real Estate is the underwriter. So it takes a village to make it all happen. We appreciate everyone's support. If you want to volunteer, please go to our website and click on the volunteer tab. We'd love to have you.
And that underwriting from the 30 Minute Tire couldn't come at a better time, especially with the snow just right around the corner. Katy Wang from Park City Film, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be right back after a short break.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the show. We are now joined by Dr. Regina Spratling, the president of the National Association of Pediatric Nurse Practitioners, and she's got a little bit of advice for us on how to deal with the upcoming COVID season as things are starting to get cooler and we're all starting to move indoors. Welcome to the show, Dr. Spratling.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, and thank you so much for joining us. And so it's my understanding that as we're starting to move into a new winter season and moving back indoors, that there's a new vaccine on the market for COVID. And as kids are starting to get into school too, it's important that they get vaccinated before they're indoors and in that crowded environment. So tell us a little bit about what's new in the realm of COVID vaccines right now.
Well, there is an updated vaccine that is available for children and adults. And children that are age 5 years or older do need one dose of the updated booster. And then for children that are 6 months of age to 4 years of age, if they have previously had any COVID vaccine, they may need 1 to 2 doses of the updated booster. Or if they've never had the COVID vaccine and they're in that 6 months to 4 years of age group, then they would need 2 doses of the Moderna vaccine or 3 doses of the Pfizer vaccine.
Gotcha. So it sounds to me like it's still important to really kind of get the kids starting to get vaccinated, especially at those younger ages when they're starting to start school. But what would you say to people who kind of thought we were beyond this now and that like COVID was in the past? Why do we still need to worry about it?
Well, we have made progress with COVID infections because we do have the vaccines now, but COVID has never gone away. There are continued COVID infections and there are still severe outcomes from COVID infection, and that includes children.
So it's for parents who might still be hesitant to get their kids vaccinated, especially as they're starting the school year, what sort of advice do you have for them? Like, or any ways to assuage people's concerns about the vaccine, especially since it is a little bit of a new technology?
Well, these vaccines are safe and effective, and clinical trials were done in children, and the vaccine was proven to be safe and effective. And in addition, we have given millions of doses of the vaccine to children and continue to monitor, and these are safe and effective vaccines. And I also like to direct families to the evidence. There are evidence-based resources that are out there, which they can review the information themselves. And 2 that I would suggest are covidvaccineproject.org. And again, that's covidvaccineproject.org. And also the National Association of Pediatric Nurse Practitioners has resources. We are known as NAPNAP. And so if you go to napnap.org, we also have some great resources about the COVID vaccine.
Gotta say, for an acronym for your organization, NAPNAP for kids and kids' health, it's just couldn't be better if you ask me. So if parents have kind of started to overcome this hesitation and they're moving towards getting vaccine or getting their kids vaccinated, the circumstances around vaccines have changed a little bit. They've been free in the past, but it's my understanding that the free vaccines might be coming to an end, or at least that necessarily is changing a little bit. So could you help us kind of figure out that and navigate how we can get our kids, even if they're uninsured, vaccinated still?
Well, vaccines are free for children. And if you are uninsured or underinsured, there is the Vaccines for Children program that has been in existence for many years. And almost 50% of vaccines for children in this country are given through that program. And then if you are insured, they are also free for children. So vaccines are free for children.
And is that free for kids of any age, or is that just free for kids up to a certain age? It's just anybody under 18?
I think we lost her.
Okay. Are you there? Well, Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for that interview, and thank you so much to Dr. Spratling for joining us. And if you need more information, make sure to check out napnap.org, and we'll be right back after a short break.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Well, that's all the time we have for this Friday edition of Wasatch Weekends. Don't forget to catch us for our special 1-hour episode on Saturday, where we're going to be talking to some local artists, check out a small town story, and then, of course, Nuzzles & Co. is stopping by with their Adoptable Friend of the Week. Until then, this is Wasatch Weekends. I'm Ben Roof, and I will see you tomorrow.